We have gotten better by saying, well, if we had to do that all again, how should I have handled that? How would you prefer for me to say that? And it just causes for discussion because sometimes statements feel accusatory, right? And questions seem inclusive. Like, let us meet at a place where we both feel good about this.
Right.
Otherwise, it feels like we're in competition, like there's a winner and a loser. And I don't want that. I want win-wins out of every discussion we have. And sometimes, it's timing too.
Right.
So sometimes it's not what we said, but the timing in which we said it. And because we didn't take the time, sometimes what we say comes out differently than perhaps we intended. And that's why it's good to have, to learn that person.
But sometimes also, you write about timing, and sometimes you should wait, but I feel like in that moment, if you said you saw me walking by with my coffee, that could have been a moment to do it fast and say, hey, girl, where are you going with my coffee? And it wouldn't have been a thing.
Right, yep.
Right?
Yep.
So sometimes we get in our feelings and we're like, oh, okay, didn't make me any coffee, okay. Right?
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven, and family-focused, and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Hey, welcome to the Self-Talk Experience. I am Tracy Self, your favorite. And this is my co-host, Darnell. Anyway, we are here today. We are live. This is so exciting, babe. And guess what?
Live.
It's Thursday.
That's right.
My favorite day of the week.
Every day is her favorite day with me.
Yes, it is. You're right. I love every day, every minute, every second with you.
Do not. Look, we have an audience this time, so she's showing off in front of the audience, guys. Every day is not her favorite day with me. In fact, that's going to be this episode. Let's talk about that.
What are we talking about?
Remember, this is a self-talk experience because the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves. So we got to watch the things we say to ourselves. And sometimes we're put in a position where emotions cause us to say some things that we regret later on. And sometimes those things are not even said to someone else. They're said to ourselves first. And because we're silently saying those things to ourselves, we outwardly say those things to somebody else. So it's helpful when we take a few seconds to think about what we want to say. So this episode, I would like to talk about learning how to ask better questions so that you get better answers and yield better results.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I think
good.
sometimes people feel like when they see outwardly happy people, like couples, friends, parent-child relationships, they're thinking, oh, they must not have any problems. And sometimes those who operate at such a high level in their relationship have learned how to communicate through some tough times so that they know exactly how to operate in a better way so that they now have a better relationship.
Right, but you have to get there.
Yeah.
It's a process. It doesn't start there. You have to get better and work on it. You have to be very intentional about what your goals are, what you want out of the relationship, whether it's with a couple or a friendship or parents, siblings. You have to be intentional about what you want out of that relationship and work on it.
Yeah.
Right?
You're absolutely right. It was funny because Tracy and I went out on a double date with another couple and some friends of ours, and we were telling them how she got kicked off the tour.
The tour. Okay, so a lot of you guys know that my husband has been traveling and speaking at different locations throughout the year. You're going and speaking at different locations in training.
Look, oh my God. She is my #1 celebrator and fan and my #1 hater all in one person.
No, but you can't really, we've gone through this before, you can't really say you're on tour.
Anytime you're in more than one stop, it's a tour. She just won't admit that. I'm like Usher, man. You married to Usher. I'm trying to tell her, man, y'all better help y'all girl out. Look, I've been on tour.
Yes,
And
we have
look-
been on tour together. I've been helping you
Oh,
out.
now it's because you with me flying, it's a tour.
Yes, yeah.
My point is, we were telling some friends of ours on a double date that she got kicked off the tour
Why did I get kicked off the tour?
because you were giving me negative energy on the plane. I had to get off. And, you know, people expect when I hit the stage, I'm going to give them what they came for. And I can't do that with a whole bunch of negative energy right before I go on stage.
Yeah, but you hurt my feelings. You weren't being nice. I want to do it live all the time.
So listen. So she was triggering because there was somebody sitting next to her on a plane who was sniffling, coughing,
And this was like
it was a full flight.
a year ago.
Yeah, it was going to Arizona, so it was a long flight. And she was like, I can't believe I'm in the middle seat again with somebody like this. And don't worry, though. The person couldn't hear her talking about them because she was too busy coughing and sniffling the whole time. So it wasn't like she was being rude. The person couldn't hear. And so she was just going in, like, I can't believe this is the second time I've been next to somebody who... And so I was like, hey, I can't do that. So I think the other option is for you not to be on the tour. Because I get paid to bring positive energy. And you're costing us money right now. This is what I said. And so then I said, you know what? You're off the tour. What did you say?
And I said, the tears, this plane's taking off at this point, so we're gone. And he's like, you're not gonna be on any more stops. So the tears are right here. My mask is on, tears, and I said, I couldn't think of anything else to say, and I was just like, you're just so mean to me. And I didn't talk to him the rest of the 3 hours. I was like this.
It was longer than 3 hours.
But it was good. It happened for us, not to us. It absolutely did because it forced us to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And having that conversation and talking through it made us better.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah. As you said, could you have said that differently? And I said, how would Usher have said that? No, I didn't do that. No, I said, you know, I could have. How would you have liked me to say it? Because I do want to say things differently that make you happy and not hurt your feelings.
Right, but the key is you ask the question.
Right.
I didn't just say, you could have said that differently. And he said, okay. He actually said, well, what do you want me to say? So that I had the opportunity to say, this is what I would like for you to say. So it's all about, like we were saying, asking questions and not just letting it go.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up because, you know, it is about the questions you ask. And oftentimes I think, man, could I have said that differently? It's like the time, and by the way, the couple we did a double date with, they said when they got, after we shared this story with them, they said they got in the car and they were like, yes, we're doing good because Tracy and Darnell also argue. Like, they were like, we didn't think that you guys ever had any disagreements. And they were like, yes, it's okay. And I'm like, y'all are crazy. Of course we have disagreements. But I believe because we talk through them all in a way, which we'll talk about, like the timing has to be right. A time where you're not distracted by other things. Like, because if I'm taking calls at the same time, you're like, hey, we need to talk. I'm like, hold on one second. And it feels like the relationship isn't as important.
Right.
But it was just that the timing wasn't right.
Right, absolutely.
So we've learned to just ask questions. Like, is there something I could have said better? The next time, how would you like for me to say that? What's a better time? So these questions allowed us to grow our relationship, and it's allowed me to build actually healthy relationships outside of our relationship because I use the same strategies and things that have helped us to build a healthy relationship.
Oh, yes, me as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was a time
What are you about to say?
I can't tell you before the podcast because I don't want you to think about what you're going to say. So there was a time where recently, as in 2 weeks ago, that Tracy, my co-host right here, made herself a cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh my goodness, you're going to talk about this now?
Yeah. And so when she just walked past me sipping her coffee, and she knows I like coffee. And she didn't say, hey, babe, you want a cup of coffee this morning? She just made herself some coffee. My feelings were hurt a little bit by that. Because I felt like I'm in my office working, grinding, doing what I need to do, take care of the family. I just want a cup of coffee. I just want to lead the people, and I just need a cup of coffee for some energy.
What's your point?
My point is that I felt like I was like, all right, I don't want to be. Look, I'm telling you, this is a real thing. Because I'm having these conversations with myself. That's what I was called self-talk. So I'm having these conversations with myself like, is she mad at me? Did I do something wrong? When should I say it? Should I address it right now? Should I address it later, like when she's at a place where we're laughing and joking? Now, these are all conversations you have with yourself. This is why you have 50,000 to 70,000 conversations with yourself. Should I show up now? Should I go to Las Vegas? Shouldn't I go to Las Vegas? Should I pay for this? Should I invest in this? Should I continue with my business? Shouldn't I, right? All these conversations. So in that moment, I'm like, I'm going to wait. So hours later, I said, hey, babe, is there a reason why you didn't make me a cup of coffee this morning?
That's not what you said.
All right, what did I say?
You did say, hey, babe, but you said, hey, babe, so you didn't think you should have made me a cup of coffee? That's what you said. You did say, babe.
I may have said that. So, what did you say?
I just was like this. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And because he said it the way he said it, it hurt my feelings because I always, 95% of the time, I do it. So that day, I don't even remember what was going on in my mind. I just didn't do it. But the way he said it made me feel like I never do it. And it hurt my feelings. So then I walk away, and I take a minute, and I'm asking myself, should I say something? My feelings were hurt, but did he really mean to hurt my feelings? Is he in a bad mood? I'm not mad at him. So I'm thinking all these things, right? So then I come back, and I say, that hurt my feelings. And he's like, what hurt your feelings? I was like, because I always make you coffee, and you acted like it was a big deal, and I can go make you coffee right now. Do you want coffee right now? It was a whole thing, but what did you say? Because I said, you hurt my feelings.
And I asked a question. This is what we're talking about, asking questions. And I said, let me ask you this, babe. Did I hurt your feelings, or did you choose to feel hurt by what I said?
And it was a great conversation because my response was, no, you hurt my feelings. No. But it was good, and we really had a good conversation, again, because we were asking each other questions. So he said, well, how could I have handled that differently? And I said, you could have said, hey, babe, you didn't make me coffee this morning. Is everything okay? Because you usually think about me and make me coffee. If he would have said it that way, I would have been like, oh, my God, babe, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go make you some coffee right now.
Maybe.
But again, we talked about it.
Yes.
And now I know to make you some coffee. Even when you don't want coffee, it's going to be coffee.
But and the point is that yes, and so we have gotten better by saying, well, if we had to do that all again, how should I have handled that? How would you prefer for me to say that? And it just causes for discussion because sometimes statements feel accusatory, right? And questions seem inclusive. Like let us meet at a place where we both feel good about this.
Right.
Otherwise, it feels like we're in competition, like there's a winner and a loser. I don't want that. I want win-wins out of every discussion we have. And sometimes, it's timing too.
Right.
So sometimes it's not what we said, but the timing in which we said it. And because we didn't take the time, sometimes what we say comes out differently than perhaps we intended. And that's why it's good to have, to learn that person.
But sometimes also, you write about timing, and sometimes you should wait. But I feel like in that moment, if you said you saw me walking by with my coffee, that could have been a moment to do it fast and say, hey, girl, where you going with my coffee? And it wouldn't have been a thing.
Right, yep.
Right?
Yep.
So sometimes we get in our feelings and we're like, oh, okay, didn't make me any coffee, okay. Right?
No,
Right?
no, it's absolutely right. Absolutely
But we had these talks, and I was like, you should have just said it right then.
Right.
But we talked it out.
I was doing a three-way call. I don't know if I was or not, but I just felt like that was a good excuse just now.
So we worked it out.
We worked it out.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. So I wrote down a couple of things that I wanted to discuss with you.
Me too. I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, her pages are all blank, by the way. She has nothing on it, just so that y'all know. She has nothing. So oftentimes, because it's easy, and we learn this, we catch each other all the time. Your sister does this with me. Like everybody in our inner circle, I may say something, and like your sister will say, she'll text back and say, how about saying it this way? Mm-hmm. Like once you're really involved with self-talk, you have people to hold you accountable. Like, oh my gosh, this day is so crazy. And the person says, well, how about you say this day is interesting? It must be preparing me for something great. Like you have people around you that continue to help shape your self-talk. And so, so I've learned how to ask myself, like, what is this teaching me? What lessons have I learned? What pattern do I need to break so this doesn't continue to repeat itself? These are all questions that I continue to ask myself now when things are not going according to my plan.
Yes.
So I only want to bring a couple of things, and we've got to end this episode. One, sometimes you have conversations with yourself because you're like, shoot, I shouldn't have done that or said that. And so this conversation you're having is, how do I quickly correct this?
Okay.
So we don't go to clubs often, but we went to a club to celebrate somebody's birthday.
No.
And we're at the club, and I'm walking down the steps, leaving the club, and I have on this sweatshirt, and some girl says, hey, Javonche, which is the brand that I had on. This one, who's not a fighter at all, like she's the girl who's gonna hold your purse and call 911 for you, because you need that girl in the crew too.
You do.
But she is not the fighter at all. Okay, this one is the producer of the self-talk experience. I can tell you a whole bunch of stories on her. But this one says, as soon as a girl says, hey, Javonche, she says, oh, not tonight. Then she realized she said it. The non-fighter realized she said it and said it loud. And she was like,
oh.
And she didn't want to turn around to see who said it, because then it's like the girl could say, what's up? What you looking at? So she started walking fast to find a friend who is a fighter.
I did. I don't know what came over me, guys. I don't know. It came from my belly. It was, I don't know. But we always learn lessons.
Yes, we do.
Right? And we ask questions.
Yeah, so the point is that we had a whole discussion, like, if you had to do it all over again, would you have said it that way?
No.
Right? Right, and I can talk about things, because listen, we're all imperfect. And something happened to me when I was checking in the hotel, and I was like, man, I should have handled that differently. It's always opportunities for us to handle things differently. What happens to us all, right? It's always going to happen, but how we respond is in our complete control.
Absolutely.
Our complete control, okay?
Absolutely.
So,
we're good?
all right, guys, so just remember to ask better questions. Even ask better questions of yourself, so that you can get better answers from yourself or from others. And when you get better answers, you'll see that we get better results.
Yes.
All right, guys, this has been another episode of the Self-Talk Experience. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves.
And If you ask me a question, I'm going to be honest.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.